Welcome to our channel, guys. Welcome to Parson Road. This is another coffee talk. With Jules.
And me.
And Johnny. We haven't had one in a long time. So we thought we'd jump on here and just talk about what's going on. We've actually got a topic we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a little bit about the pros and cons of having a bus as musicians.
So get comfy.
Get comfy, get cozy, and enjoy. Got to sip our coffee a little bit.
She's got better coffee than I got.
That's another story for another day on another coffee talk.
Amen to that.
But anyway, we thought we would share. This was Johnny's idea to get on here and just share some of the pros and cons about having a bus as a musician. So some of you may know that we travel and we do music full time now. We just recently, end of last year, launched out beginning of this year on our first big trip to start doing our music again full time.
Right.
Yeah. And so a lot of times when you think of musicians, traveling musicians, a lot of them, especially in the gospel music realm, have big tour buses and stuff like that. Now, ours is not it's big, but it's not as big as some.
Yeah.
But it is our tour bus.
A lot of the quartets, big high-end Southern gospel quartets have the buses, the major coaches, and the expensive ones, and we hear a lot of people talking about, a lot of the groups talking about how expensive the buses are.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've had pretty good luck with our little buses, but we just wanted to share that.
Yes, we have. So there's a lot of good reasons to have a bus as a musician, or even a small van. But I think one of the biggest pros to having one as a musician is the ability to have a dressing room, or what some might call a green room, on the road. Yep, because one of the things that you do miss, because we do work out of this bus sometimes. So sometimes what we do is we park the bus and we kind of go in our car and we work out of it. But what we find challenging when we do that is we get to a place, the venue that we're going to be singing, whether it's a church or whatever it might be, and there's nowhere to change your clothes. There's nowhere to fix your hair. There's nowhere to brush your teeth if you need to. Most of the time, you're going to get stuck doing all of that in a bathroom.
No clothes, no hair, no teeth. I'm good.
But anyway, it is very tough as a musician to, or as a vocalist or whatever, as a group, a music group, to get to a venue and get all set up, get everything done, and then have nowhere to get ready. And most of the time, like I said, it's a bathroom. And who wants to be standing there without your clothes on, barefoot, in a bathroom? I was going to say a nasty bathroom, but all bathrooms are somewhat to a certain degree.
Yeah, don't get us wrong. We're not
very
trying to give a bad picture.
No. It's just that it's a reality. Right. All of your musicians are going to tell you that. And so one of the things we thought about, because we don't always take the bus, we thought about eventually getting a van and being able to have a kind of an on-the-go green room to take around with us.
Which she can't stand me in the bus. I don't see how she's going to deal with me in the van.
I hear you.
The second pro I'll talk about, but the first pro I want to add something. I think it's cool that we have our home on wheels. There's nothing like, getting to a church or a venue where you got to play, you got to do your job, but you got your house there too. So I just think that's so cool that, we can roll up on a site, have everything we need, be right there. You was talking about that.
Yeah, and you don't forget any,
But
one of the issues with taking the car is that you could forget something.
But I just so agree. There's nothing like it.
Yes.
You know what? People, say, why do you want to live in a bus? Why you want to live in your bus and, call it, your house? Well, because it is my house, and I love it. The second thing is, when we're out, we can have it anywhere we want. This is the second reason, I think.
We don't have to have hotel rooms.
Right. We can roll up in a Walmart parking lot, and some of the older guys call Southern gospel people, and country gospel people call the Walmart the Southern gospel and the country gospel campground.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of Walmarts, I think, that are stopping the overnight parking.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think you still got Cracker Barrel, and you got
Bass Pro Shop, maybe.
Bass Pro Shop, and what's that other one? Cabela's.
Cabela's, yeah.
And you still got several others that let you park. And you know what? I'm going to buy stuff. You guys, if Cracker Barrel especially, if you're watching this.
He loves Cracker Barrel.
I love you. You know what? Appreciate you letting us park. I'm going to buy something. If I roll up on your property and you letting me park, I'm going to more than likely buy something unless we're having a.
That's another reason to look into. That's another reason to look into Harvest Host, which we are not members of, but I am very seriously considering, especially when we get this bus better equipped for boondocking. I want to be able to, just have more places that we can roll in. And another thing we get to do is, because we're singing at the churches and the venues, we get to stay there usually. And sometimes they'll have 50 amp or 30 amp, and we can plug in.
At this last church, and
very nice.
It was a small church, not many people, but it was a blessing there.
Yes.
And it's still a home church for us, because the pastor said, anytime you need to park.
Yes, anytime.
Just pull up, and so we got that area now.
Yep.
My son used to tell me, because I would do a lot of the driving, and we would leave School Road in Griffin, Georgia, and down there, and wind up in Tennessee or Kentucky or somewhere else the next morning, and he'd be sleeping, and or one of them would be sleeping, and they'd wake up and say, "Hey, this is cool. I fell asleep in Georgia, Middle Georgia, and I woke up in Middle Kentucky."
Yeah.
And so when you look out your back window, is where you're parking, is where your home is. Well, you can park it just about anywhere that will allow you to park. That can be your home, and I just think that's pretty cool. The only thing is, the breakdowns, but you get by those.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
That's another video.
Yeah, that's another segment to this video.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, so basically, when you get finished too with a date, you're singing, and you've had to load in, set up, sing, greet people, and then afterwards you tear it all down and you load it back in, and you're tired, you can go right into your bus and rest.
Yes.
You can, whether that means go to sleep or that means sit and watch a Greatest American Hero or a Beverly Hillbillies. You can rest. And so that's a really huge pro to having a bus as a musician, is that a traveling musician, is that you're able to just go to sleep right after, and you don't have to worry about getting hotels, because hotels can get costly, the price of them. Now, we have stayed in a lot of campgrounds on this particular tour, but that's because we've not equipped it the way we would like to have it equipped. We're working on that. We're working on it, because just a little bit ago we had a little issue running our generator. We got a carbon monoxide detector, and it went off. So of course it didn't do that the night we slept in here, but it did do that. So therefore we're just days away from fixing that problem. We have a part coming in the mail, but anyway, so it's nice to be able to and plus I don't like hotels. If you've ever watched Hotel Impossible, you'll see why.
Yeah.
I like my own bed, for sure. So the third pro to having a vehicle, traveling vehicle bus, as a traveling musician, actually this one does not apply to us at the current moment, but it's storage. Abundant storage. Most of your big tour bus, MCIs, all of that, they have the Prevost, they have the big under storage bays. And actually, our other two RVs had that as well. And that is a big pro to a musician having, because sometimes as a person who's not traveling, you kind of think, well, why do they have to have that big bus?
Yeah.
Think, why does that group, why do all the groups have these big buses?
A lot of people don't understand that, that's what it takes for a lot of the groups. And you got more people and, more things, it takes more space.
And a lot of these other groups have like more members of their groups, and so they need more space. Of course, it's just us right now. We don't know, if that'll always be, but
it's still taking a good bit. I mean, our car is loaded with our sound equipment.
Loaded, like it is loaded. And then we still got some of the products stored in the back of the bus back there on that back section. We've got a couple of boxes of t-shirts and hats stored back there.
Yeah, but any thieves or anybody that gets the idea they want to rob us, we do carry.
We carry too, yes.
So
absolutely.
Think about that.
Yep. So now we're just going to kind of quickly touch on some of the cons to having a bus as a traveling musician. These probably apply to almost everybody. I mean, this could apply to more than just musicians, the cons. The number one con is, what do you think? Breakdowns. Yes, having to anticipate repairs, breakdowns, especially. I don't like the idea of breaking down on a like a interstate, because that can be dangerous. And so just the idea of breaking down, I don't like it, but it is part of the life, and it's usually not if, but it's usually when.
Yeah.
But we have been very blessed, I will say.
Yes.
Very blessed not to have any terribly major breakdowns with any of our buses. Yeah.
Well, praise God, we hadn't had major breakdowns.
The worst thing was an alternator.
Well, the worst thing was a ECU.
Yeah. That was. We were stranded for 6 days in a horse pasture.
That was one of our very first videos, or was it the first?
We weren't videoing back then. We were not doing YouTube, so I'll put a little clip in here. I'll try to go back and find one.
It was on YouTube. It's not?
No, that was before we started.
You sure we didn't make a video out of that?
No.
Okay.
But we have it on Facebook, and I'll see if I can pull. And we may have even pulled some of that video if I can find it. If I can't find it,
I think it's in one of these videos that we did share some of that in.
We might have, yes. Yes, but anyway, so repairs and also maintenance, just the upkeep on a bigger vehicle, especially diesel, is usually a good bit. But I will say that this bus is a 7.3, and so far it hasn't been crazy, and the parts are pretty accessible and available at most like Napa's and O'Reilly's.
Yeah.
Right.
These buses, however, do have air brakes, and they have big wheels and big bearings. So you have to, keep that in perspective, that when they go out, you'll need an impact and a
air compressor,
and all that to fix it. And need a little bit of knowledge on that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the skoolie people say that if you're going to do this, you need some kind of mechanical knowledge, just some general stuff, because you don't want to have to go, because, well, a lot of them are hard to get anybody to work on them, because we know a big coach repair place in Alabama, and those guys will not work on a bus like this.
Yeah.
And yet your RV people don't like to work on them either. So it's kind of a...
Yeah. But I do have one friend that used to work in a bus barn that gives me good tips and come and help me figure things out, and real good guy.
Yep.
And
yes,
his name's Stanley. Stanley, if you're watching this, we love you.
Yes, it's good to have friends that have wisdom and knowledge. So That's great. So the second not pro, but con that we came up with for having this bus as traveling musicians, or just even as, RVers or whatever, is that you don't fit in a lot of places. So if we did have a little van, or like a Sprinter van, or something like that, a conversion van, you could fit just about anywhere. You could go to town, you could go to the coffee shops, you could do all those things. But with this bus, you're going to have a little bit of a challenge trying to find a place, although
now I don't worry about that, because I can always find a place to park.
Yes, he has.
I can. And not to brag, I've driven a truck, not to brag, but if you have knowledge of how to drive a big car, you can park it, So I don't really too much worry about that. If there's no place close by where I'm going, I don't mind walking a little bit.
Yeah.
So, unless it's somewhere I've got to sing or do a venue.
Well, I thought about me on that one, because the average person, which I consider myself probably the average person, you're not, because you're used to big vehicles. You've driven them, you've parked them, you've had to do that. But for me, the average person, I would be a little, what is the word? Maybe intimidated to park in smaller spaces, or trying to find smaller spaces to park in.
Driving a bus is just like riding a scream machine or a roller coaster. Once you get used to it, it's not so bad.
Right.
And number two, you kind of talking yourself into a van, and you like little things anyway.
I do like little things. And I do love the vans, so.
62 is all she'll do. What about you?
So that brings us to the third con, for us anyways, and maybe for some other folks with bigger vehicles, is that it takes you a little longer to get to your destination. You have to account for more time. Even if you don't have a governor like we do, or you're not capped at a certain speed, you don't want to take these big vehicles really, really fast. For one, it's bad on your fuel economy. I think between, 65, I think, and 70, probably 65 is probably your sweet spot on fuel economy. But anyway, so you just take a little longer getting there. It's a big vehicle, and you can't be Speedy Gonzalez in them, even though some people are, I think. Some people go pretty fast. And Johnny, if he had his way, you liked about 70 in the other buses.
I like 70, 75.
Yeah.
To pass, at least.
But we ain't doing that.
But,
not in this one.
if you passing something in this bus, it's absolutely not going anywhere. And I passed like two people so far on this trip. That's it.
Yes, one of them was this tractor trailer that was like so slow.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what in the world? I thought we were slow.
And then the other one was a truck pulling a trailer, a small pickup truck pulling a trailer. And I think he was on his phone. He wound up speeding up, going back around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then another one was a car.
Yeah.
And he stayed back
Which
there.
Our friend that watches us here, he talked about how it's kind of good to be a slower vehicle anyway, because you can kind of avoid the clusters. And I have found that's true. It is kind of nice for all the people just to zoom by you, and here you are in your own little space.
Well, it is. Most of the time when they come around you, they know they're mad. You know that they're mad. But a lot of them just don't even blow their horn because they know you're slow.
They know.
Especially because I kept the strobe light on this bus. And when I know I'm going down the interstate, I'll just turn it on and let it flash. And they'll see it way down the road and know I'm slow and going around me.
Who they get mad at is me, because I'm in a regular car.
That I don't
following
like, because
him.
They run up on her rear end, most of them tractor and trailers, and go around her like miss her by that much.
Yeah.
Why are you going to do that?
Yeah. Well, and back to the not fitting, that's why we carried this car. That's one of the reasons, is because we want to have fun on these trips and not just work. And so we have a way to get around. We have our car. We can go to the coffee shops. We can go if we want to go to the beach, we haven't yet really, but if we wanted to, we can. And so it's just, that's our way of kind of getting around that con, I guess you'd say, without having to move the bus and having to do any of that. But anyway, so I thought we would just share some things, some pros and some cons, and kind of it was Johnny's idea, especially pertaining to musicians, traveling musicians. A lot of people that are not in the musician and
World.
artist space, you kind of get curious about things like that. But I will just say that a lot of there's a whole space of musicians that criticize other musicians because they got a bus, and now they have a big repair and they can't afford to pay for it. And, that is tough, but it's part of it. And honestly, musicians need your support anyways, because most artists, especially, smaller time artists, they're not making enough money anyway. And so if you can support a artist or musician, then I say thumbs up to you for that.
Even in places where they book you to sing, a lot of them really, don't have the heart to pay you. Most of them do. A lot of them do, but a lot of them don't. And that's when you kind of start to see, problems in your your deal. So,
and by the way, I'm going to just bring this up here. Something that we do is we don't like to say no to anyone, especially the nursing homes. So one of the things we do is we try to get into nursing homes and we sing and do a concert for them. Or say a church that is not as financially healthy as another church. And so one of the things we do is we offer the ability and we give opportunity for anyone that would like to sponsor a concert to do that. And I will just tell you that our expenses for one concert, depending on where we're going and depending on if we have any other dates in the area or whatever, it just depends on the distance and things like that. But it usually ranges anywhere from $300 onwards up to $800 to $1,000. It just depends on the distance. Now, if we're going an hour away, it would be the lower mark. It would be the $300. But say we're going 10 hours away, it would probably be, $800 to $1,000. And so if that's something you ever just want to do is sponsor a concert, let us know, and we would love and appreciate that very, very much. And so will the people who we get to say yes to.
We love you and we need you.
Yes, absolutely. So support local music, even if it's just going to a concert in your area of someone that's not a big name. The big names is, we need to go, they need support too, but especially the more local, smaller regional artists.
Right. The big name groups, they have expenses too.
Yeah, they do.
Give them the respect too.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't have as hard a time because they've got supporters.
They've got millions of supporters.
But they do have expenses too, not to take away from them.
Absolutely. So anyway, that was just a little plug for local artists. So now that we kind of just went over that with you guys, I want to real quickly touch on where we're planning to be. This is going to be a real quick run through, just in case you're in the area.
I'll spill your coffee.
Yeah, don't let me spill my coffee. In case you're in the area and you want to come out and see Parson Road, or if you would like to book us we do house concerts, we do churches, we do all kind of festivals, any kind of thing like that. But we're especially looking for house concerts. And so in April, this is April, so very soon here, we're going to be, towards the end of April, we're going to be in Tennessee.
East Tennessee?
Yep, we're going to be in, Knoxville, Tennessee. Yep. And then we'll also be in Tennessee for the first half of May. And then come June, we're going to be local. So that will include anywhere in Georgia and maybe surrounding states that are kind of close by, maybe within, 50 miles into each state surrounding Georgia or so. We can go. And then July, we're going to be partly in Georgia and partly in North Florida. So we'll be in Lake City, that area, in Lake City, Florida, and then parts of Georgia. And then in August, we're going to plan on being in South Carolina and North Carolina. So if you are in those areas and would like to come see us, check out parsonroad.com. You can see exactly where we're going to be. And also, if you'd like to book us for a house concert or anything like that. And then in September, we're going to be in Florida and Georgia. When I say Florida, it is going to be deep down Port Richey? Newport Richey, yes. And then some in Georgia as well. And then October, we're planning to be in North Georgia, up towards Helen, that area. But we could also go anywhere 100 miles or so out. In between all of that, we have some weeks where we have anywhere written down on our calendar, which means that we will go anywhere. So check out our schedule and see if we're booked, anywhere near you, or if you'd like to get us booked anywhere near you. And then November, we're going to be in Georgia, and that's one of the months where we're open to anywhere. And then also December, we're going to be some local in Georgia, but we're also wanting to share our music stuff, our Christmas music stuff anywhere, else as well. So that's just a rundown. And then, of course, the beginning of 2025, we always start out in Florida. But we're willing to go anywhere else, too. So as long as we have some open weeks. Yep. So there you go.
Yeah.
And so check out parsonroad.com for our tour dates. And also you can get merch there, music. You can even listen to some of our singing, things like that there.
We want to ask you to like and subscribe, and we thank you for the new subscribers that's been subscribing to us. Yes. Keep watching. We got more in store. We love you and we need you.
If you're still breathing,
there's still hope.
There's still hope. We will see you guys on the next one.